The next thing I want to talk about is, well, it's a video I watched. And the title of the video was, Would You Rather Be Colonized by Aztecs or Christians? It came from PragerU. PragerU, well, you can check it out and you can check them out. I'm not going to get into too much about what PragerU is or who created it or anything else. I mean, I'm certain somebody in the comments can say a lot more with a lot less frustration than I can. The video was narrated, hosted by Michael Knowles. Now, again, the video, oddly enough, that wasn't clickbait. That's a literal question that they ask. And you can imagine, given the source, that this video was about, well, just setting the record straight on colonization, that it wasn't all bad. You know, that there was some good to it. Yeah, sure, there was some bad eggs. You know, there were some bad apples in the barrel, but, you know, but it wasn't all bad. And it goes on, and not only it wasn't all bad when we think of colonization here in North America. We have been doing this forever and ever and a day as human beings. Human beings have been colonizing all over this planet, back and forth, forever and a day. Everybody's done it. Every society's done it. Every village has done it. Every household has done it. Every nation's done it. Every people, every culture, we've all done it. It's one of the things we do. He talks about towards the end, where that title comes from. He talks about Cortez. You know, this is one of those things. He says, you know, he offers this example that you'd have to be, well, it'd take a lot to not agree with him in the way he poses the question. But he says, you know, Cortez, if all colonization is bad, then think about Cortez. He said Cortez comes, he meets the Aztecs, and he sees the Aztecs committing human sacrifice by the hundreds, right? I think he even said thousands. I don't know much about the Aztecs, but I do know they were recorded as offering human sacrifices. He says, you know, so Cortez, he got rid of the human sacrifices. That's a good thing. Isn't that a good thing? Don't you think getting rid of human sacrifice is a good thing? Well, yes, of course. Problem is you're equating Cortez getting rid of, you know, attacking the Aztecs and defeating the Aztecs, conquering the Aztecs, and you're saying, and by doing so, he got rid of human sacrifice and he introduced Christianity. Okay, fair enough. You could say that Cortez freed an oppressed people and gave them Jesus Christ. The problem is that, you know, in videos like that, when he's talking about colonization, he's saying colonization is not that bad a deal. He doesn't continue the story where Cortez doesn't, as a freedom fighter, give the people back their land and give the people back their nation. He doesn't give the oppressed the opportunity to run the show. No, he keeps it and he gives it back to Spain. He gives it to the king and to the queen. He gives it to the monarchy. He gives it to the empire. And the empire just thoroughly destroys the civilization, steals everything, including the land, including their gold, including their lives, and throws them into slavery. So is colonization bad? It got rid of human sacrifice. Well, if that's all it did, of course you would have an argument, but it didn't. The colonization happened after he got rid of the human sacrifice, when he and people like him destroyed the society. Not just an aspect of the society, not just something that they found detestable, but the society itself. Damn near the culture itself. Now, the idea with videos like this is when we don't want white people to feel bad. For me, this isn't a white thing, right? We don't want people of European descent to feel bad. We shouldn't feel guilty that our ancestors were part of a colonizing force that came over here and did really, really horrible things, because it wasn't all bad. Some of it was really, really good. Like, that should be encouraged and appreciated. And that's what we need to that's what we need to be teaching our kids. For me, as a Christian priest, as a Christian person, as a follower of Jesus, I don't have an issue with the white people who colonized. I don't have an issue with the English people or the French or the Dutch or the Spanish or the Portuguese who colonized. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the cultures that came over here and colonized. I certainly don't have a problem with the skin color that came over here and colonized. See, the issue for me when it comes to colonization, it boils down to these were all supposedly good Christians. These were Christian nations. Right? These were nations who followed the church. Right? Who followed the churches. These were nations whose leadership, for the most part, would have professed a faith in Jesus Christ. That's where my problem comes from. Cortez was a Christian. Fair enough, he got rid of human sacrifice. And then he proceeded to lead the butchering of a society. The same thing happened with the indigenous people in Canada, in the United States. These were Christians who came over for the purpose of taking this land, for the purpose of enriching themselves from this land, for the purpose of gaining wealth and prosperity and status by conquering this land, by taking. And that, we can look at colonization and we can say, well, colonization was a bad thing, and it was. And we can say, well, conquering, it wasn't colonization, it was conquering, but they just didn't want to say it was conquering, right? They just didn't want to say it was conquering. We don't want to say they came here and they conquered these people, because that, that means we were the aggressors. We certainly don't want to make it look like that. We want to whitewash things, and we want to try to pat ourselves on the back somehow for being the descendants of these groups that would have come over and done it. But here's the thing. Conquering isn't just violent, right? I mean, it is violent. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely violent, but it's not violence for violence sake. Conquest really comes down to theft. For the sake of this conversation, bear with me. I see you have something. I really want what you have. I'm going to come and take it from you. That's a form. It's violent, absolutely. But that's what conquest is. Hey, I see the gold you have. I want that gold. It means a lot to us where I'm from. I'm going to come and get it. I'm going to come and take it. Oh, I like this land that you have. I'm going to come and take it. I like this area. I'm going to come and take it. I like these trees. These trees have immense value to us. We're going to come and chop them all down and take it. I like this. That's what conquest is. You have something in your place, in your space, in your area. You have something that me and my people envy. And we're coming for it. And we're going to come and we're going to destroy you. And we're going to come and take it. When we talk about colonization and we look back on history and we see the horror that we inflicted, it's not about making anybody today feel bad. It's about recognizing what happened, as something I've said a million times, so that we never do it again. So that we recognize what colonization is in whatever form it happens to take. And we avoid it. We avoid the pitfall. We avoid the trap. We recognize what it was that led these people to do these things. Where did they go wrong? So that we can make sure we never do it again. And if possible, because we recognize what has happened over these centuries, we can say, we're going to put some extra effort into helping people who have been adversely affected by our colonizing past today. Again, for me, it's not about England coming over to North America. It's about Christians doing it. For me, it's about these Christians who should have known better. Yeah, human beings have done this since the dawn of time. I'm certain since Grog saw Thug with his new piece of wood and Grog went over and beat Thug with a rock, it has been with us. Envy and the desire to take from our neighbor that which doesn't belong to us has been with us since the dawn of time. But we as Christians, we people coming from these Christian nations, we knew better, or we should have known better, or we at least claimed to have known better. We're not supposed to take from people. Christians aren't supposed to take what doesn't belong to us. Christians are supposed to give that which we have. These guys got it all wrong. They got it all mixed up. The interesting thing for me is, again, we can say this has happened since the dawn of time. This is part of it's part of our human makeup. It's part of our human makeup. When we choose to follow Christ, we're supposed to conquer these desires in ourselves. Yeah, sure, we've always done it, and we're supposed to conquer that. We're supposed to rise above it. We're supposed to rise above the desire to take something from someone that we want that they don't want to give us. We're supposed to rise above our desire to take something from our neighbor. We're supposed to rise above our desire to commit violence in order to get what we want. We're supposed to rise above our nature to harm our neighbor. We're supposed to rise above our nature to the point that we give and we provide for our neighbor, even if our neighbor deems us to be an enemy or we deem our neighbor to be our enemy. We're supposed to rise above those things, those desires, those things that we've always done. We're supposed to rise above all of that. That's what Jesus calls us to. So again, from my perspective, fine. You don't want white people to feel bad for what their ancestors did. I get it. Fair enough. You don't want English people to feel bad for what their ancestors done. You don't want French people, Dutch people. You don't want Spanish, Portuguese, Italian people to feel bad for what was. Fine. We Christians should have known better. Right? We members of this church should have known better. And we, as Christians today, we should absolutely be looking back on history and saying, where the hell did we go wrong? Because we absolutely lost the plot. We absolutely lost the plot when we decided we can take from somebody else. And we can do so with force, and we can do so with violence, and we can do so with genocide. And that the more we rid ourselves of these people, the more we eradicate these people, the more we can get. We absolutely got it all twisted around. And Christians, we need to look back on all of this and say, never again. Again, this isn't about making us feel bad. What's done is done. But we need to make sure that we're on the right side of history next time. And by the way, the question, who would you rather be? Who would you rather be colonized by? The Aztecs or the Christians? I'd rather not be colonized by anybody. I'd rather not be conquered by anybody. I'd rather not anybody steal from me or take what is mine. I would rather not be beaten up or murdered by anybody. What a silly question. Amen.